Okay, good. Can you turn off the TV?
I gotta turn this down. There we go.
It looks like we have 4 members.
I think, Bob, I think there's some feedback between you and Louise.
Louise, why don't you mute your and see if mine will pick you up? Okay. Now, why don't you speak, Louise, and see if the sound will pick you up?
Hello, everyone.
Can you hear Louise?
Barely. I guess just have one of you mute and the other one can speak.
Okay.
I'll speak loudly.
Okay, very good. Looks like we have 1 minute to go, and looks like we have 4 members. I see Lisa's there. Hi, Lisa. Neil is called in. You with us, Neil?
Yes,
Okay,
hang on.
okay,
I'm trying to get the camera to work. There we go. Finally.
okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, so
Have
between
5 members.
we have how many?
5.
Okay.
Yourself, Lisa, Larry, Luis, and Neil.
Okay, Larry, you're there then too? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay. Then I think since it's now 7 o'clock, I think we can proceed then.
Everything's set.
Okay, very good. Okay, good evening and welcome to the July 6, 2020 meeting of the Town of Brookfield Zoning Board of Appeals, or ZBA. First, let me introduce the members of the ZBA who are present this evening. I'm the chairman, Robert Marconi. Our vice chair, Neil Capola, is present. I don't think Juliana Zach has signed on. Larry Rushmeyer has signed on. I have not seen Joseph Fusillo sign on, but I've seen Louise Trojanowski Marconi and Lisa Temple have signed on. And Fran Lawley, our zoning enforcement officer, has signed on. Allison, are you there too?
No, I'm doing it for Allison. She's at another meeting.
So Alice Dew is playing the role of Allison Kennedy, our recording secretary tonight. Okay. Now the current agenda can be found under board meetings on the Town of Brookfield website. I will call each applicant one at a time. When I call the property address, please come forward virtually and tell us about your appeal. After we've gone through all the cases on the agenda tonight, we will close the public portion, the evidentiary portion actually, of this meeting. And then we will deliberate in each case in open executive session. So that is, of course, open to the public. You must have at least 4 affirmative votes to have your appeal granted, and we have five voting members tonight. You are all welcome to stay to the end of the meeting or contact the land use office in the morning. And I would suggest that you stay after we close out the evidentiary portion to hear how things go. I don't expect it will last late into the evening. Note that in regard to any appeal that is granted, it is constrained to the plan submitted and to any purposes stated in the application, unless this board specifically notes otherwise. Now, the public evidentiary hearing is only one aspect of the approval process and is for the purposes of accepting factual information and data bearing on this application and allows expression of opinion by interested parties. The final decision may be in the form of approved as submitted, approved with stipulations, or disapproved. After reading to the record the correspondence received by the board relative to this application, we will ask the applicant to present the application in detail. The chair, myself, will then entertain questions of clarification from board members concerning the applicant's presentation. We will then hear from those who wish to speak in favor of the application, followed by those who are opposed. Following each side of the question, the applicant will be allowed to make concluding remarks. All questions and comments must be directed to the chair. As you are recognized, please state your name and address each time before you speak, so your comments may be legally recorded. Please be assured that everyone will be given the opportunity to speak who wishes to speak. However, the board is most interested in hearing factual information relative to the application. And in view of the time constraints placed upon us for each case, we ask your indulgence in not simply repeating and reiterating comments previously presented. Okay, so the first item that we have is the minutes of our June meeting, and I'll ask if there's a motion to approve the minutes.
So move, Louise.
Okay, Louise has moved approval of the minutes. Is there a
I'll
second?
second that.
Okay, Neil. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes anyone wishes to make? Okay, then I will, none. I will then take a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes of the June meeting? Aye. Opposed? No opposition. Okay. We have received minutes of other boards and commissions, and again, those minutes are for our benefit. They do not require us to take any action. So we will move on then to the public hearings. So let me start off. The first public hearing is on 14 Dean Road, and that is application number Z-20-59. Now, I do want to say is that we've received correspondence, but it has only been, I believe, for one of the other applications. I've seen just additional correspondence on the 65 Carmen Hill Road. Is that correct, Fran? That we've received no additional correspondence on the Dean Road?
No, Mr. Chairman, I believe there was 2 letters or emails that had come in to the office regarding 14 Dean Road.
14 Dean Road.
14 Dean, yes.
Okay, well, let's take a look here. Because I noticed is that the letters that we got recently were for another application, but
They were for Carmen Hill.
Carmen Hill, yes. Okay, let's see. Okay, well, let me first state that the applicant is invited to come forward and describe the application. And I see on the application, it is Michael Scalzo. Are you here,
Yes.
Michael?
Yes, Chairman, I am.
Okay, welcome to the Zoning Board of Appeals for the town of Brookfield.
Thank you.
It's a little bit different way of conducting business than we usually have had in the past.
It's starting to become the new normal.
It is starting to become the new normal. So the floor is yours to describe your application.
Yes, sir. My name is Michael Scalzo at 14 Dean Road in Brookfield. We applied for a permit for a shed variance on the right side of our property. We live in the R40 zone. We're requesting a 20-foot variance to put a shed on the right side of the driveway. Due to the fact that we're unable to put it in the backyard due to the septic and very close proximity to the wetlands. And the left side of my property is, we have the 30 feet, but that's the backup for the septic. in case my septic system had failed. And the rest of the property is in the front. So we were unable to obviously put it in the front due to also zoning issues. So we're requesting that variance for an 8x12 shed. I do have 2 emails from my neighbors, one directly across the street, who would see the shed, and one directly next door to me, who is going to be, the variance would be towards his property, both in complete favor. I can read you the emails if you would like.
Certainly feel free to read it into the record.
Okay. The first email is from Joseph Torres, my neighbor directly across the street. He's at 11 Dean Road. He says, I'm Joseph Torres. I live at 11 Dean Road in Brookfield. I have no issues with the addition of a shed on Michael Scalzo's property. If you have any questions, please give me a call at 203-788-9244. Joseph Torres. The second email I got from Bruce Grogan, who is the neighbor directly to the right where we're planning on putting the shed. He states, Brookfield zoning, my name is Bruce Grogan, residing at 16 Dean Road, Brookfield, Connecticut. I would like to voice my approval of the 20-foot sideline variance that will allow Mike Scalzo to place his new shed near the property line between our 2 properties. Mike has been very open discussing the shed placement, and my wife and I approve. As a side note, the Scalzos are good neighbors and a credit to Brookfield and the neighborhood. Thank you for your attention. Bruce A. Grogan.
Okay, I'm going to ask our zoning enforcement officer, were there additional emails that we got?
No, those are the only 2 emails, and they both were in favor of the application, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
very good.
And they are in the record too.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you, Mr. Scalzo, for reading those for us too.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We appreciate it.
Okay. Now let me ask, was there anything else that you wanted to add before I throw this open to members of the board?
I don't believe at this time, no.
Okay. With this in mind now, I'd like to throw this open for any questions from members of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Any questions for Mr. Scalzo? Neil, do you
Like,
have
this
any?
is Mr. Rushmeyer.
Okay, Larry.
The question one of those letters, one of those emails was from your neighbor who this shed is going to butt right up against his property. Am I right?
Yes, yeah, to the neighbor to the right side of us. So it'd be 10 feet from his line.
And there's a swing set at the end of your driveway. Is that?
Yes, sir.
And the septic tank itself looks to be, I think I had a map,
Yeah, the tank is directly off the rear of the deck.
right?
The tank is there and the fields go both ways, to the right and to the back and to the left.
And the tank, the clean out is, I think, 30 feet from the driveway?
I believe so.
Okay.
Actually see where the it's out there. I think it's somewhere around 30 feet from the driveway itself. Yeah.
And you don't think you can sneak it in on that backside between the tank and the driveway?
It gets pretty moist out there towards the wetlands area, so we didn't want to put it anywhere down there, just to kind of keep it out of that area.
I was referring to right at the edge of the driveway,
Oh,
to the left of the swing set.
we were going to try to keep the sight line open towards the playground as well from the deck, so we can see the kids
Okay.
there.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay. Are there any other board members who have questions for Mr. Scalzo?
No, I'm good with it.
Okay,
I like the placement next to the trees and driveway.
very good. Okay, so if there are no further questions from members of the board, what I'm going to do is next ask, is there any member of the public who wishes to speak in favor of this application? I'm hearing nobody. So I'll next ask the question, is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? Okay. By the way, I note that Joseph Fusillo has joined us. I had not announced your name previously when I began the meeting. So we actually have 6 individuals here today, 2 of them alternates. So we'll figure out when we get to voting who will be voting. Okay, if there's nobody who wishes to speak in favor, no one who wishes to speak in opposition, before we close, I will ask Mr. Scalzo if he wishes to add anything else on this.
Not at this time.
Okay, with that in mind, I'll take a motion to close the public evidentiary portion of this hearing. Is somebody make a motion?
So moved, Louise.
Okay, Louise has made the motion. A second?
Second.
Okay. Who made the second?
Lisa,
Okay, hi, Lisa. Okay, thank you. Okay, all in favor of closing the evidentiary portion? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
No opposition. Okay. So Mr. Scalzo, just stay on and we'll eventually be voting on this this evening.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your time.
Okay, quite welcome. Now let's go with the next application is for number 2 Appleby Farm Road. It is Z-20-61. And this is a variance requested for a shed. And the applicant is, I believe, Albertino Pereira, if I'm not mistaken. Is someone here on this application?
Yes,
how are you?
Okay. Hi, welcome to
Hi.
the Zoning Board of Appeals. Again, this is sort of an unusual way to conduct business, but it might be the way we'll be doing it for a while.
right.
So anyway, I thank you for virtually coming to our meeting, and I'm going to let the floor be yours to describe your application.
So Albertino and Viviana Pereira from 2 Appleby Farm Road. We're applying for a variance for a shed because our property technically is 2 front yards because our property abuts 2 streets, the front and the back.
Right.
So we would like to put it in the back of our house, what we consider the back of our house. So that's what we're here for.
Okay. So I guess the hardship is the shape and location of the property because of it having 2 front yards, basically. Okay. Very good. Is there anything else you wanted to mention about it?
It will be behind the house.
It'll be 47 feet from the property line of my neighbors on the left-hand side.
Okay.
He's okay with it.
Now I'm going to ask our, first I'll ask our zoning enforcement officer, have we received any correspondence on this application?
There was, Mr. Chairman, there was 2 letters or emails that come in favor of the application. One neighbor was in opposition of it. She was concerned about runoff, but she lived downhill of the applicant, farther down, like almost 300 feet away on the other side of, I believe it's Diana Drive. She has property down there, but I don't see any impact. It's
Right.
on it that far away,
Yeah.
They
Okay.
have 2 front yards. Their property abuts Appleby Farm and the back property abuts Diana Drive.
Okay, and I'll just ask whether or not the applicants are aware of the correspondence too.
We're aware of the positive correspondence, but not the one opposing.
Okay. I'm trying to look for my copy of it right now, but I'll tell you, if I could have Mr. Lawley read are the emails long or short?
I don't have them. I can't access them from the computer.
Okay, very good. No. I may
I
have
can read them.
something here.
Bob, I
Robert,
can
I
read them if you'd like.
Okay. Yeah, actually, I don't see the emails in the packet that we got delivered to us. So,
I may be able to get them off my phone if you want to hold on. I'll read it with the
Do you want me to read the one that they're not aware of? Is that the one?
I think that's of primary concern because,
Okay.
they want to make sure they're all aware of everything.
Okay, it's to Zoning Board of Appeals, Town of Brookfield, Connecticut, from Arline A. Hulton. Date June 24th, 2020. I'm writing to you in regards to a variance filed by Albertino M. Pereira at 2 Appleby Farm Road to add a shed to his property. My main concern is due to the topography of the area. My property is below where the shed is to be installed, according to the plan that was filed. If there is to be any soil disturbance to facilitate the placement, I want to make sure that there would not be any siltation, erosion onto my property or the spring or water course within. Thank you for your consideration. Arline A. Holton.
Okay, excellent. And the emails and support, are they very long?
Let me take a quick look here. Just takes a minute. One is filled out as, oh, here we go. This is very short. Dear sir or madam, we do not have any objection for the variance application submitted by Antonio Pereira. We would appreciate if the request can be considered in their favor. Naresh and Naru Talwar at 5 Appleby Farm Road.
Okay, and the other?
The other is,
I have it here if you like.
okay, go ahead.
That's from Jane and Jonathan Gibney. To whom it may concern, we are in receipt of the notification regarding our neighbor's application for a variance for his property at 2 Appleby Farm Road. We have no opposition to the Mr. Pereira building a shed on this property, assuring it will not be visible from our house. We believe the work he has been doing on the property has been at the back of his property and only visible from the road as it passes behind his house. This has very little impact on us or the neighborhood, and welcome Mr. Pereira to continue to make improvements to serve his family. Thank you for your fair and timely notification. We appreciate and enjoy our neighbors and respect the protections of the zoning process and the board members' service to the community. Sincerely, Janie and Jonathan Gibney.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much for reading that, Fran, because when I didn't see it attached to the application, I was concerned. I wanted to make sure that it's in the record.
Get right into the record. Yep.
I hear it. Now, I would ask if the applicant wants to address the negative letter that came in, just to make sure that we hear your say on it.
I believe Arlene is, her property is technically New Milford. It's on Old Middle Road in New Milford. I remember sending her the thing, but she is quite a ways away, and our shed will not be disturbing any soil. It's going on a flat surface, so I don't see any runoff or any soil. Nothing will be disturbed.
And the road on the back
Yes.
divides our property to their property, so I don't see nothing ever going to that side. We almost had 3 acres of property there, so we far away from their property.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. At this point, unless you have anything else to add, I'm going to ask if any board members have questions of you, okay? I'm throwing this open to any members of the Zoning Board of Appeals to ask any questions of the applicants here.
I have a question about the Gibney's letter was asking about assuming it is not visible from our house. Where do they live?
So they live, so if you're looking at the front of our house, they live to the, so we face them, they're on the left-hand side. Ours will be moved over to the other side. So the shed will be on the other side. So it won't be facing them necessarily. It won't be on, so where the corner meets, I know if you guys, right, so it won't be there, it'll be on the other side, and they're right across where our driveway is. So if you, I don't know if you could see it on the map.
Yeah. So they're across the street, you're saying?
They're across the street, yeah,
Okay.
from our driveway side. So they're on the other side where the shed's gonna be.
On the back side of the house, right?
Yeah, they're in the front of the house. Well, yeah.
Okay.
Are they possibly referring to the view? That the shed may obstruct the
Yes.
view?
We don't have no view of
They
our
won't be
house.
seeing the
they-
shed?
The shed, they won't be seeing the shed from their house. because it's in back of our house.
But then maybe they were concerned that that's where the shed was gonna go, on that, on that larger, in that corner, perhaps.
Right.
We didn't really explain to them where the shed was going. So maybe that's what the concern was.
Because there was a lot of fill on the opposite side of the house. Recent grass put in and so on.
Yeah, it was a lot of bushes there. I cleaned up everything. It was, you know, a lot of dead trees and stuff like that, like small stuffs that I cleaned. And I put some topsoil, you know, just to reseed it.
And so that would be their concern from that side of the house. If the shed was there, may obstruct their view.
They feel that, maybe they think that that's where we're gonna put it, but it isn't. We
Okay.
didn't explain to them where we were gonna put the shed. It's gonna
Thank
be
you.
on,
Okay. Any other questions of members of the board?
Nope.
No? Okay. At this point, then I'll ask, is there any member of the public who wishes to speak in favor of this application? Hearing nothing, I'll just ask, is there any member of the public who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? Okay. I'll ask the applicants if you have any concluding remarks before we close out the evidentiary portion of this hearing.
thank you for your consideration.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to stick around, but I'm going to first take a motion to close the evidentiary portion.
So moved.
Okay, and a second? Louis seconds that. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay.
Aye.
Okay, so we've closed the evidentiary portion, and now the next item is 65 Carmen Hill Road. The application number is Z-20-62. And this is a pool with a deck in the front yard. And let me just take a look here. There is a email opinion letter from attorney Thomas Beecher, who is the town attorney. And if I may read this into the record first before we proceed further with this. And it's addressed to our zoning enforcement officer, Fran Lawley. So it says, "Hi, Fran, as previously discussed, swimming pools are not permitted in a front yard as stated in the regulation, not to be confused with a front yard setback, which has a separate definition. As defined in the regulations, the front yard extends from the house to the lot line along the street. A street, also defined in the regulations, includes right-of-ways serving one or more lots. This property therefore has two front yards, and a pool may not be located within either front yard. Regards, Tom." Okay. Fran, I just want to ask you, is it your understanding that basically the swimming pools are not permitted, but this board may then waive the regulation? Or is it your understanding that that is something that this board cannot do?
No, it's something this board can do. It can waive the regulation.
Okay, yes. So he's basically saying that means the pool is a proper subject of a variance application.
Yes, there was a question regarding the easement and the road area. The homeowner didn't feel that it was a road. I said it is a road. And then I seek the opinion of the town attorney just to confirm it and get it in writing, so.
Okay, very good. Okay, I have a letter dated July 6th from Mr. and Mrs. Christian Truchess, Truchsess, 2 Carlin Way, Brookfield, Connecticut, that is addressed toward this application. And I should read that into the record too before we proceed further. It says, it's a somewhat long letter, so please bear with me, but it looks like it was just dated today. So I want to make sure everybody has seen it, including the applicants. Dear Zoning Board of Appeals, we are writing to you as residents and homeowners at 2 Carlin's Way in Brookfield, Connecticut. The reason for this letter is to ask the zoning board to deny the variance regarding the pool and deck that have been filed by Eileen and Tom Hitolo, is it? for their property located at 65 Carmen Hill Road. We are the homeowners of the adjoining property, and we ask that you consider the following reasons when making your decision regarding this variance. One, when we purchased our home, we did so because of the design, curb appeal, and layout of the neighborhood, which is unique and serene. This is what attracted us to the town of Brookfield, as well as to our current residents in particular. The proposal of this variance would mean placing a pool on the edge of our front yard, thereby disrupting the quiet enjoyment of our home and yard. The placement of a pool in this location would look odd, disrupt the quiet enjoyment of our home, and would be the local point of view from the front of the home. In addition, most of our yard is located at the front of our house, which is where our children play and we spend the majority of our time. This would create an attractive nuisance and cut off the lines of sight from our home. Prior to purchasing our home, we researched the setback rules ourselves, and we have installed an above-ground pool on our property. We did so by abiding by the setback rules as established by the town of Brookfield, and would expect our neighbors to do the same. Isn't there another location on the property that our neighbors could install a pool that would not violate the zoning rules and regulations? Let us be clear, we are not trying to prevent our neighbors from installing a pool. However, we do expect that they do so with respect to the town's rules and regulations and with regard and consideration of their neighbors. If the zoning board were to grant the variance, of course, what they mean is zoning board of appeals, you would be bending the rules for aesthetic purposes for the residents at 65 Carmen Hill Road, thereby diminishing the aesthetics of our home. After speaking with a realtor friend as well as other homeowners in surrounding towns in similar situations, I am concerned that the placement of this pool deck will diminish the value of our home and potential resale, as it would be located right at the property line next to our front yard. Lastly, I've included a picture of our home and front yard. The picture was taken from the property line where our neighbors were asking for the variance to install the pool. I would invite anyone from the zoning board to come to our home and walk the property if it would be helpful in making this decision. In conclusion, we respectfully request that the town of Brookfield enforce their own setback rules as established. We are submitting this written request as well as speaking before the Zoning Board of Appeals because this affects our property. We are not in agreement, and we want to do everything to enforce our rights and make sure that Brookfield does everything they can to enforce the rules. We sincerely thank the Zoning Board of Appeals for their time and consideration for our request. Signed, Christian Kelly Truchas. I guess I have that pronounced right, or I'll be corrected. Okay, that is one letter. I believe there was an additional letter that we received in opposition. I see one that was dated July 6th, and it is by Dean and Sharon Esposito. So this is fortunately a much shorter one for me to read into the record, so then we can move on to the applicant presenting the case. And it says, Dear zoning board members, my wife and I are writing to you regarding a variance request for 65 Carmen Hill Road. We have been made aware that plans for a large pool and deck have been submitted for your review. The owners of 65 Carmen Hill Road are requesting that the large pool and deck be constructed at the edge of their property and directly across from our property at 1 Carolyn's Way. The building of the structure will have a direct impact on our property and poses other issues that we are very concerned about. Therefore, we respectfully request that you deny the variance request. The proposed location for this large deck and pool may decrease property values significantly due to its proximity to the street and neighboring home property lines. It's our understanding that an alternate location on the property has been reviewed by town officials. An alternate location will allow for the property owners to enjoy the pool and deck they so want while not hindering the property values, privacy, zoning rules and regulations, and aesthetics of the neighborhood. We ask that you please enforce the zoning rules and regulations regarding setbacks that have been established by the town. We thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Dean and Sharon Esposito. Okay, Fran, has there been any additional correspondence that has come in? I read these into the record because they are dated today, and I'm not sure if all the members had a chance to look at these. I don't hear you, Fran.
There was one letter that came in from the Candlewood Lake Club. that was received in the office on June 25th. I'll read that into the record.
Okay, why don't you read that into the record then?
Yep, to whom it may concern, on behalf of the CLC Owners Corp., I'm writing to inform you that they have no issue with the variance requested. Thank you, Katie McCartney, manager of CLC Owners Corp. And that was received on June 25th.
Okay. And also, one of the reasons for reading this in the record is making sure that the applicant, when presenting the case, is aware of all of this, all of the correspondence that's come in one way or the other. Okay, with that in mind now, I will hear from the applicant. Eileen, can you tell me how to pronounce your last name?
Yeah, you want to come in here. So this is Tom Totolo.
Okay,
And my wife Eileen, and we own the home at 65 Carmen Hill Road.
Okay, very good. So welcome to the Zoning Board of Appeals. You've heard the correspondence.
Sure.
Why don't you just lay out for all of us in your own words the application and perhaps address the concerns that
Yeah,
homeowners-
absolutely. Happy to do that. And what I'd like to do is to just, I wanted to try to share my screen, which is the plot map.
I can allow you to do that. Let me just get it going.
Thank you.
Let's see. Okay, now you're co-host.
Okay, so let me share the screen. Okay, let me know when you can see that.
I can see it now.
Okay, excellent. So we early in May, we had spoke to Fran about this. We had called, we were considering a pool. My wife spoke to Fran, had a long conversation. He brought up the lot map. He told us about the offsets. Everything seemed fine. And it wasn't until just recently when a particular neighbor that we've been having an issue with bullying of our daughter with complained about the pool. Now, we haven't even put the pool in. We hadn't even put an application in, but I guess she saw this being measured. And that's how we are here today. Was that complaint by this neighbor that I've been having, again, bullying issues with my daughter. I'm convinced that she's rallying the neighbors against us in this. The folks who were with us in getting the pool now are against us. But let me explain what we're proposing. Just to keep it simple, we're just trying to get a pool. And this road here is actually our property. It is an easement that we have granted lots three, the back lots, I think it's 3, 4, and 5, to get to their driveway. So that is our property. And we're being told that the town is saying that is now makes this a corner lot. The fact that this road, which is our property, makes that a corner lot. So we don't agree with that. But that being said, with that ruling, it takes away approximately 70 by 140 feet of land that we cannot use. So we have this pool, and based on Fran's advice, before my neighbor complained, and he came out and looked at the property and then actually changed his story and said that now, because of this road, this makes this a corner lot.
Mr. Chairman, if I could say one thing, I was never out there to review the location of the pool. A map was never submitted to show a proposed location of the pool. So, for the
Okay.
record.
Okay.
So anyway, just a little history of how we got here. We're trying to put the pool wherever it can fit. The challenge is this area here. Well, let me look at this. This is the septic tanks. So we've got to be 10 feet from the septic tanks. This is the line going from the pump to the baffle box, to the galleries. The galleries run 134 feet across the back of the property. We have to be 10 feet from the galleries.
What are the galleries?
The galleries are where the water, the wastewater, the non-solids are pumped through here to these concrete galleries that are in the ground. And it's,
Oh, okay, so what I'm seeing on this chart here, these are underground structures that are part of the
Correct.
septic system.
correct. And we met with the town and we have to respect the offsets of those. The fact that we have this long galleries, 134 feet, limits where we can put the pool along with this line. We cannot fit the pool in here because of the galleries and a hill. There's a good sized hill and trees. The pool will not fit in here. So the only place that it could fit is in here. And we're intending on putting this as close to the galleries as we can.
Yes.
Now, I understand the neighbors' complaints and what they're saying. What we are proposing, we are going to put a fence, and we're doing this regardless because of this bullying issue we're having with our neighbor. So we are going to put a privacy fence. Fran in our meeting had said we could put a 7-foot privacy fence. And so we are going to put a fence from here over to the edge of the grass, all along the back of the property and all along the back property line here. The neighbors will not see the pool. They will not see the deck. They will not know it's there.
Okay, so across the length
What do
of
I-
your property on what is called Carlin's Way, we will have a 7-foot privacy fence, correct?
Fran said we could have up to 7 foot. We're thinking probably about a 6 foot. But
Okay.
either way, the pool is only 48 inches high. So no one would see the pool. So
This
we
is-
were going to put the fence, Chairman, from the house across to the edge of the grass, probably a few feet off, maybe 3 feet off the private drive, up here.
Yep.
And then closing this off to the tree line. So no one will see the pool. We're putting up a very nice white vinyl privacy fence. It's a classy, very nice fence that I think my neighbors would be fine with. It's a beautiful fence. And so that's what we're proposing is just, this variance so that the only place. that
Excuse
we-
me? Hi.
Can
Is
I
there, can I make it, I'm a little outraged right now.
Could I
Can
just?
I speak for a moment, please?
We hear from the applicant first.
Okay.
Then
I'm
after
just-
that, we ask for board members to ask questions. Then what we do is we ask members of the public to express their opinions, both for and against.
It's just, it's very offensive that he keeps calling me and my family bullies, and I'm taking offense to this.
Okay, and when we get to that stage, because we can only have one person at a time speak.
I understand. I don't want to be defamed on this
Okay.
site.
You'll have your chance to say.
Thank
whatever
you.
wish. So.
Thank you very much, Chairman.
Okay,
So if I could just finish. So where we're proposing the pool, now this is not to scale. The offsets for the property is 10 feet. We're proposing 30 feet from the back property line and 25 feet from the property line going to the Ferguson. So a large amount of area is going to exist between the pool and the fence line and very far from the neighbors. So well more than what the offsets are.
all right. Are you finished?
Let's see. I just want to make sure I mentioned everything that that I wanted to. Yep, that's it. The offset. So, and I guess the last thing I want to say is that we feel that it's an undue hardship that our property is being, that this part of the property is being treated as a front yard. Because again, this property right here, this is our property. This easement is something we granted to our neighbors to allow them to get to their to Carmen Hill Road. So,
Okay. And let me just repeat again, the process we are going through here, make sure it's orderly, is with your completion, what I'm going to be doing is turning this over to my fellow board members to ask their questions, first and foremost. Then I will ask members of the public who wish to speak in support of the application, and then members of the public who wish to speak in opposition to the application. And what I'd like is then finally, we generally have the applicant be able to close out and address those who have spoken against the application, as well as any comments of board members. And then at that point, we vote to close the evidentiary portion of this proceeding. And then we get back to it when we start voting on each of the applications. So does everybody understand how we're going to proceed? Okay, so let me now move on to asking members of the Zoning Board of Appeals who have questions on this application of the applicant to jump on in and ask those questions. So go ahead.
I'd like to ask if they've investigated the possibility of putting the pool between the septic and the house.
There's just not enough offset there to do that.
There's 50, according to the plan that I have, there's 50 feet between the corner of the house, 51 feet between the corner of the house and the edge of the septic.
You mean the galleries?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, the challenge that we have there is, and again, this is not to scale. The challenge that we have is that there's a hill here and there are some large trees that would prevent that pool from going there.
So you're saying the topography
The
and
topography
some
doesn't
trees.
allow- Correct.
That
So
is.
retaining walls,
Me too.
retaining walls to help that topography issue, I think are a possibility.
That is to scale. That's an A2 from CCA.
Right.
Oh, it says not to
It says
scale
not to scale.
on it. All right. I don't know. It says not to scale. That's the copy we were given.
Okay.
Regardless, we had many pool people in here, and what they told us was the only area to put it was here, that it would go.
Now on this map, it says house under construction. Is the house been fully constructed and everything?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been 10 years.
yeah, we've been here
Right,
11
that's where you're
years.
speaking
So,
from.
yeah, it was just the house was built actually before we bought it, but this is the only drawing that the town has.
Okay. Okay.
I have a question about the easement. When you granted the easement, did you receive remuneration? Did you receive payment for it?
No.
Nothing. And no one ever told us that granting this easement would cause this hardship, where essentially 70 by 150 feet or so of our property, really the largest part of our property, was now we can't do anything with.
Unusable.
This back here is all trees. We're not allowed to touch that. And then we have the galleries. There's a hill here. There's trees here. This is the only open area that's flat, essentially. So no one told us that, no.
You can cut trees down. You can make space. I would like to see this closer to the septic tanks behind the house more.
I viewed the property. There's very little slope. If there's 4 feet of grade change, that would be a lot.
Who is that? I'm sorry.
Was that Larry who just said that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Well, we've got, yeah, again, I mean, this makes it look like there's a ton of space, but once you figure out the 10-foot offset, and the shape of the pool, that's, by the way, we've already ordered, based on a conversation that we had with Fran. So, and I know, Fran, you say we didn't put the application in, but we spoke and we thought that there wasn't an issue because my wife spoke with you.
I was asked what the setbacks are. Never was anything proposed to me and say, hey, look, can we put a pool here? I would have told you no if you wanted to put it there. Again,
We specifically spoke about a pool with you, but let's not argue about that.
Okay, let's put it this way. There's an old saying that it ain't over till it's over. So it's not over until the ZBA votes and any
So
beyond that.
I don't feel it's possible to put the pool here, and neither do the pool guys that I've had in.
Okay.
There were some very large trees, so it would be a financial hardship to remove those really large trees here. I've got a shed here that's not shown here. I'd have to move the shed. And there's the offsets and so forth. So it would make the project really, the cost would be just impossible for me to bear. Honestly, removing those large trees, doing that landscaping work, whatever you call it, to level that ground, put in a retaining wall. And again, I don't think it's going to fit. That's what I'm being told by the pool people that I've been talking with.
So you'd have to change the topography of the property, I take it.
Tremendously, yeah.
Okay. Are there any other questions from board members or comments?
No.
Okay. I'm then going to move on to asking first, are there any members of the public first who wish to speak in favor of the application? Okay, I don't see anyone or hear anyone. Now I will ask, are there any members of the public who wish to speak in opposition to the application? And I believe we at least have one member.
I would.
I'm speaking as well.
Okay, so let's have each person identify themselves who are speaking. So who's speaking first?
I can speak first. This is Kelly Ferguson.
Okay. Then why don't you go ahead? Welcome to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Hi, thank you so much for letting me speak. I apologize. I was the one who kind of interrupted, and I apologize. I was just really offended that he kept calling my family a bully.
Well, could you give your address too for the record?
Absolutely. 63 Carmen Hill Road.
Okay.
And my husband here is as well.
How are you?
Very good. Hi, welcome to the Zoning Board of Appeals. You can both speak if you wish.
Oh, great. Thank you. I'm a little taken back because I was just joining this meeting to hear what was going on. And when he said that I made a phone call to the town and I've been rallying the neighbors against him, first of all, I never called the town, and rallying the neighbors against me, I'm just shocked because, to be quite honest with you, they're the ones who went to each neighbor and knocked on each door and said that I had a problem with their swing set, not even a pool. So I don't understand where this is coming from. And the whole bullying, saying that I'm a bully, I've not even spoken to them. I've not even approached any of these situations. I just wanted to find out what was happening because I saw the location of the pool. I thought it was really an odd spot in our quaint neighborhood. And to be honest, I was going to ask, is there a different location on their property? But to be defamed during a meeting was very uncomfortable for my family to hear that. Which had nothing to do with the meeting. Which had nothing to do with the meeting.
Right.
I wouldn't have even spoken right now.
Okay, well, we generally do not like to have conflicts
I'm
arise.
with you, and I just wanted to say, I just don't want to be defamed.
Okay,
I think, I just like to say, I thought the context was important because this neighbor, I know that she called. And
Tom, I didn't call anybody, and please,
then why did
I
Frank
don't
show
know
up?
how you keep thinking I
What I'd like-
called.
what I'd like to
What
say.
information?
All right,
Okay, I'm going to want to try and get some order here. I would like to have a stick to the facts of the application.
Thank you.
absolutely.
Not whether somebody called somebody and not whether somebody bullied somebody, okay? Let's stick to the facts of the application because that's what we have to decide as a board,
Absolutely.
okay? But I would like to ask Ms. Ferguson a question. The applicant had mentioned about being able to put up a privacy fence of 6 or 7 feet, or I guess up to 7 feet he could. Let me ask you, does that change your view of this at all? In other words, if he puts up that kind of fence, because this board can also order conditions upon granting an application.
I'm just not comfortable how close it's going to be to the road.
Okay,
And I was one of the original people who purchased the
You were
property.
the original.
I was the original who built my house. I was the first house built on this property. So I don't understand the easement. That was already arranged by the builders. So I don't understand why he said what he said, because my contract was, it was already set by Bob Hausman and Steve, I forget Steve's last name, was already done. So I'm a little,
My mortgage.
When they divided up the property, they divided it up into 5 houses right from the get-go. So when we bought our house, we knew that there was going to be 3 of our houses built. The Totolos, the one in the back, and ours, and then 2 others that are directly behind us. So there was never a discussion about anything with the easements. That was already done by the builders when they built all 5 houses, well before Tom and Eileen ever moved into the neighborhood.
well, let me say first is that this board does not have under its jurisdiction anything dealing with the origin of the easements. What's there is there.
do you hear us?
And we are bound by, well, we generally are consider ourselves bound by the advice of the town attorney. And remember the original email that, letter that I had read earlier by Attorney Veacher, the town attorney. So the fact is the road is there. Okay, so that's a given. So we have to decide based upon the facts before us what to do with this application. So that's why it's important for us to hear from you and to hear from the applicant. And I understand there's another person waiting to speak too. But first of all, I want to make sure, Ms. Ferguson, that you have had the chance to say anything you wanted to say on this. Was there anything more you wish to say?
I don't see her.
Okay. Well, then I see, is there another individual who wanted to speak on this application?
I would
Chairman,
also like the opportunity to speak.
Okay, and can you give us your name and an address?
Sure. My name is Kelly Trucius, and I reside at 2 Carlin's Way, which is the property directly behind Tom and Eileen Totillo.
Okay, very good. Tell us about your feelings on this.
Sure. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak this evening and for reading the letter that my husband, Christian, and myself wrote, which was read earlier in the meeting. So I'd just like to reiterate a couple of the points. One of our concerns is the lines of sight from our house and, the visual effect that it will have. We are seated directly behind Tom and Eileen's house. So it is our front yard, which is directly next to the place at which they want to put this pool. So that is a concern for us. The location of our property is that a majority of our property, I would say about 80%, resides in the front of our house. So, kind of where we enjoy our time and where we hang out is in the front lawn. So the visual kind of look of the pool with or without a fence is a concern for us. In addition, I am concerned about the value to the property in putting a pool essentially in what will look like it's in our front yard. And third, we have a pool ourselves, so I want to be very clear. I am not trying to dismiss the idea of our neighbors putting in a pool. They have 2 children. I feel they should have every right to put a pool on their property. But in looking at their property and the points that were raised by this board before, it is questioning to me why this is the only point on the property at which the pool can be placed. So I would really ask the zoning board to consider why they couldn't do some, taking down or removal of trees or leveling of the property, which is a fairly flat land around here. I don't see many hills, to put in the property, put in a pool behind their deck or behind their patio that would be directly behind their house and not, buttressing the front of my property. So I'm really just asking that I'm not trying to stop the placing of a pool, but I do feel that there's a more appropriate place on the property that it can be placed. And I just want to thank the board for their time and listening to me this evening. I really appreciate it.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your input. Okay.
I'm sorry, yes, we got kicked off for a minute. I don't know how much you guys got to hear of that or not.
We didn't kick you off.
No, I know you didn't. It's probably our internet here. But did you guys hear, like, the part of, like, we were the first ones to buy the house in this lot. It was divided up into 5 lots from the get-go when we talked to the builders. The easement was granted at that point in time, well before the Totolos ever moved in.
Okay. Very good. What I'm going to ask before I get to the app, first of all, is there anyone else who wants to speak in opposition to this application? Okay, I am going to now ask, before I ask the applicant to address anything, I'll ask, have any of those?
Chairman.
Yes.
There is somebody else. Mr. Farrell, you need to unmute yourself.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought I had done that. Let me, can everybody hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Let me just connect my phone. Can everybody still hear me?
Yes.
I can still hear you.
All right, I need to turn my computer audio on. Bear with my technical inabilities here.
But make sure you give us your name and address.
Okay, everybody can hear me, right? I'm sorry, I had to switch over to my computer completely.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm the homeowner. My wife and I are the property owners at 67 Carmen Hill Road, which is the property just to the north of 65 Carmen Hill Road.
And your name?
Steve Farrell, Ferrell.
Okay.
And my concern, so we own that property, but we use it as a rental property. We bought the home in 2010. And then moved out in 2013. We moved to New Fairfield, Connecticut, and kept the house as a rental. And to this day, we still own the house. We now live in Illinois. But my concern, and you please tell me if this is not an appropriate use of the board's time, but my concern is that I did not receive the notification of the variance. So I have all the documents here in front of me. One of my concerns is that I see the mailing list here that it was I can't verify because I didn't receive it, but the mailing list says that something was emailed or mailed to me at 67 Carmen Hill Road. I haven't lived there in 7 years, so that would be an ineffective way of communicating with me.
That was the town gave me your address, and that's what they have on file.
That's all they had, Steve. They said, okay, this is the address.
Okay, well, second of all, we have on the application itself, it says, list the names and addresses of all abutting and facing property owners as recorded at the office of the Brookfield Assessor. Me and my wife's name are on here. Mailing address is unknown, which I believe I wouldn't have left a forwarding address, but phone number also says unknown. And Tom, you have my phone number. You and I have corresponded over the years. The last time you sent me a text message was, I think, there's one in September. So, I mean, you have my phone number, so you could.
Yeah, the town told me,
Wait. Let me. Yeah, Steve, I've since then I've gotten a new cell phone and I don't have your number.
the town told me I had to send it to the addresses that they had on
Right.
file.
They stipulated where they had to go.
Okay.
And I said that you didn't live there. They said, this is the address you have to
Right.
send it to. And in the documentation, you see an attached letter of everybody's address. And where
I'd ask at this point, I'd ask our zoning enforcement officer, Fran, if you could just verify all that information.
I cannot, I did not give the mailing list to the applicants. I don't know. That's what we pull off our system, if that's what we have listed. Him living at 67 or being ownership of that, then that's where it goes, unless the assessor has a different address.
Okay, well, I guess the main thing is, Steve.
But he's here,
Well, you're here, though. That's the important point. You're
Yeah.
here virtually.
Yes.
And
somehow you found out, Steve. So.
Steve, I'm curious how you found out about it. If you could share that.
I don't know if that's pertinent to the hearing. I'll let the chairman address that.
the important point is that you're here, you're able to put in your input. So we welcome what you have to say about this.
Yeah, so my concern is if the pool is not allowed to be put, or it's voted against to be put there, that it could then become closer to my property. And I just want to make sure that I have the proper contact information provided to the Totolos, provided to the town, so that if my property then becomes in question, that I am made aware of a variance application, and that a pool is not put up, less than what the assessor or what the zoning board allows for a pool from the property. I have the town document here, and I'm probably gonna just mess up the nomenclature, but I don't know where, what another alternative location is by, where the individuals have suggested between the deck and the septic fields, or whether that's considered a rear yard or a side yard. But I believe it looks like here, either if it's not a front yard, rear and side are the same, and it's 30 feet from the property line. So because of how this unfolded, and again, because I had thought that the Totolos knew how to get a hold of me because of correspondence up until September of last year, I'm concerned about if this is denied, then if another application is made, that I will not be contacted as, for whatever circumstances, I wasn't contacted for this particular application.
And make sure you bring all your contact information to Mr. Fran Lally, the zoning enforcement officer. Is that correct, Fran?
If Mr. Farrell, if you'd like to give me your name or call me tomorrow in the office and provide me with your updated information, I'll be sure to make sure that the assessor updates everything and our records all get updated as to how to contact you.
Yeah, sure, Fran. I'll take care of that tomorrow. I'll call you.
I did look at the assessor's card, and it does say Stephen and Amy Farrell at 67 Carmen Hill Road is the address. So that's the only address they have.
Okay. Well, we do want to make sure that everybody who's supposed to get notice gets notice. We're not trying to hide the ball from anybody.
No, and I just found it to be a bit disingenuous. I think everybody can get that impression from the statements I've made, and I just want to make sure if this is denied and another location is identified and it's within 30 feet of my property, that I'm involved.
Well, our land use officials have now heard you loud and clear.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Very good. Okay. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, just thank you for the time and appreciate it.
Certainly. With that in mind, let me ask, is there any other member of the public who wants to address this application? Are there any other questions from board members? Now I will ask the applicant to, if you wish to address, rebut any of the remarks that have been made, because usually I believe we give the applicant the last word.
Sure. I appreciate everyone's time today and listening to this. And, I never meant this to get personal. But anyway, there's factors going on here that it's hard to control emotions. So what I will say though is the offsets are pretty large, much larger than the 10-foot setbacks that the gentleman, when we met with Fran and the other gentleman in the town, the setbacks are 10 feet and we're looking at 30 feet setbacks, 25-foot setbacks with a large fence that would block anything. And so I think I'm doing everything I can and in the only place that this pool can go. And in the drawing here that's provided, it has there's just not as much room as that 51 feet that's there. It actually listed as a deck there, and we have a patio now. So this was, again, pre-construction. There's a patio there, so it's not 51 feet of real estate there. And again, the pool guys, the experts are saying, this is the only place it can go. So I have to go by what the experts are telling me. You know, what I'm telling my neighbors is I'm just trying to put a pool in for my kids and you know, enjoy the summer. And I'm going to fence in the property so they won't see it. Either way, I'm putting the fence up. But you know, that's really it.
All right. Well, I thank you very much. Okay. Any final remarks from any board members before we close the evidentiary portion of this proceeding?
No.
Okay. At this point, I'll take a motion to close the evidentiary portion of this proceeding.
So moved, Louise.
Louise moves.
I'll
Second.
second it.
Okay, Neil, second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, so we believe we have one more application to hear from. And this is application number, okay, first it's at 9 Prospect Court. It is application Z-20-63. And I believe this is a pool and a shed in the front yard. So, and I'm looking at the application and I believe Ricky Ramos is the applicant. So.
Hello.
Let me ask first, Fran Lally, is there any correspondence on this application?
There was no correspondence, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, very good. Okay, Mr. Ramos, welcome to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Glad to be here.
Okay, now, you've gotten a chance to know the drill now from the other applications.
Yep.
The floor is yours to tell us about your application.
Hey, so the hardship is that the back property to my house abuts Prospect Drive, so it is considered a front yard. Legally, it's considered a front yard according to the town. So I'm filing for variance. The shed is there. I'm trying to just kind of make it legal. When I removed my old shed and put in the new one, it was under 200 square feet. So I didn't know that I knew that I didn't need a permit. I didn't know that I still needed to file something with the town. So I'm just trying to make that legal. And then at the same time, I want to get a pool installed on the property. So that's what the application for the variance is for.
Okay, yeah, so we have, it looks like a very unusual shaped property as I'm looking at the map.
Yep.
So your driveway's on Prospect Court, but basically it's Prospect Drive is where the pool is sort of facing.
Right, but it's all woods behind it. So
Yes,
nothing's visible from the actual street.
Right, so that's pretty much it, correct?
That's it.
Okay. Let me move first to ask any board members, do they have any questions, Mr. Ramos?
Ricky, would you be able to maybe put some evergreens, what I would refer to as on behind the pool, between the upper road and your pool area?
It's already full of brush and has a significant amount of trees, but if I'm not opposed to, I mean, there's gonna be obviously a fence that needs to go in there. And there were gonna be some plants going between whatever concrete decking and the fence was. Beyond that, I mean, the shrubs were already pretty thick, so I wasn't planning on it, but I'm not necessarily opposed to doing anything. I mean, I don't want the visibility to come through. But if I feel like it is, yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Louise has a question.
Yeah. What kind of fence were you gonna put up, and can you just describe the fence you were thinking of putting up?
Well, it's an in-ground pool, so the fence was just gonna be kind of an iron type, or I think aluminum, but one of those black aluminum fences just to go around the pool area, not the actual property. But I'm the construction company. I'm letting them handle all of that with all the permits.
Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions from board members?
I have a question. The existing shed, well, the new shed that you just installed, is that the 8x10 on the drawing?
Yes.
That's 34 by 41 offset?
Yes.
Okay. I see it on Google Maps as well. Okay.
Okay.
And that 28 by 14 oval on the drawing is the pool placement, correct?
Yes.
Okay, 44 feet from the house. Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to ask now, is there any member of the public who wants to speak in favor of Ricky's application? Hearing nothing, anybody wants to speak in opposition? Okay, do you have any further comments you want to make, Ricky?
Nope. Let's go swimming.
Okay, at this point now, I will take a motion to close the evidentiary portion of this proceeding. Okay, and a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right.
Okay. So we've now closed the evidentiary portions and we're going to go back. We do have one matter here that we have to deal with, which is we have both our alternates here and we have 4 regular members. And so we can only have one of the alternates vote on each of these. You want to split them up? Would you want to have Joe? Would you want to do the first one, Dean Road? And
Sure.
okay, and let's see. I know Larry asked the most questions, I think, on Carmen Hill. So why don't Joe? Why don't you be on Dean Road and Appleby Farm Road? And
Sure.
And then
Works.
Larry, you can be on Carmen Hill and Prospect.
Sure.
Okay, so just for the members of the public who are listening, what we do is we usually have somebody make a motion to approve the application as submitted, so it gets before the board. Doesn't necessarily mean that's how they're going to vote. And then we discuss it, and then we decide whether or not we're going to reject it or put conditions on it or approve as is. So for the 14 Dean Road, Z-20-59, I'll take a motion to approve this application so we can have discussion on it.
So moved.
Okay, Louise moved and Neil second.
Yep.
Okay, so, okay, this is Mr. Scalzo's application, 14 Dean Road. Do we have any discussion on this that anybody wants to start?
I'll start. It's a good spot for the shed right off the driveway. It's right up against a bank of trees. The backyard there gets real wet. He's got to stay 75 feet off the edge of the wetlands too.
Yeah, so topography is a hardship here.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other viewpoints that board members want to express? Okay, well then I think we can vote on approving as submitted here. So I'll take a vote. All in favor of approving the application of 14 Dean Road, say aye.
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 And opposed? Okay, it has unanimously passed. And Joe, you voted on this one, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, very good. So let's go with the next application is the 2 Appleby Farm Road, correct? And Joe, you'll be voting on this one too. Okay, I'll take a motion to approve as submitted.
So moved.
Okay. Actually, Joe moves. Louise, are you seconding? Okay. Let's see, is there any discussion on this application?
It's a pretty steep lot.
Yeah.
The neighbor's concerned about seeing the shed. I think the applicant's house is gonna be between the neighbor's view and the shed, so that shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
And the other neighbor's concern seems very attenuated.
Yes. I don't know. I don't see any objections to it myself. Are there any conditions you need to put on it, or can we just vote on it as is?
As is good.
Okay. Then all in favor of granting this application as is, say aye.
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 And opposed? Okay, no opposition, so that passes unanimously. Again, that's the topography is the hardship on this one. Okay. So we now get to the 65 Carmen Hill Road. On this one, Larry will be voting as the alternate. Okay, I will take a motion to approve this as is. Doesn't necessarily mean that it won't be conditioned at some point. So a motion, please.
So moved.
Okay, Neil, and second?
Second.
Okay, Lisa, second. Okay, let's have a discussion on this. It seems like there are differing opinions on this meeting. This is the pool, and so the question I'm wondering, I know some of the questions were whether there are any other locations on the property, and the other questions was if it's approved, is there a condition for screening, and whether it should be approved or not. So I'm open for discussions now. Anybody want to voice their opinions?
I'll start.
Okay, Neil.
I think with a little creativity, a little bit of work, you can get that pool between the septic fields and the back of the house, either by moving the pipe from the pump tank to the fields, or taking some trees down, moving some ground around. It's not a steep property. There's a little slope, but they're gonna have to level the lot wherever they put it. The spot. It's above ground pool. You're gonna put a pad down.
Now, are you suggesting an approval with conditions, or are you suggesting that they can do this without a variance?
I'm suggesting it not go where they want to put it. There's plenty of room. They got 51 feet, even with the deck. If they turn the pool on its side, on a bit of an angle to follow the way the fields run, it's only 18 feet around. And then a 4-inch gravel skirt, where they're going to put a 4-foot gravel skirt. There's better places on that yard than right there.
Okay. And you think that that can be done without a variance, correct? Or yes?
Well, they may be within their setbacks or outside of their setbacks back there, but is it still a front yard? If it's if it's behind the house, they may still have to be a front yard setback, because they've got the two sides, the corner lot, 2 front yard problem going on. But it's, in my view, my opinion, it's too close to the access to Carlin's Way.
So are you suggesting approval with conditions or disapproval?
As is, I would vote no.
Okay.
If it's going to be there, I vote no.
Okay. And, but would you want to amend this for conditions to move it or not? Or do you think there should be another different application submitted?
I think they should come back with another application, a different site.
Okay. I'd like to hear from any other board members.
I think they should resubmit. I agree with Neil 100%. There's plenty of room to put that pool behind the house.
Okay,
And I echo what Neil and Larry say. If there's a problem with the slope of the land or the trees or what have you, usually that could be rectified, but also maybe we need a survey to get, because there was some back and forth as to whether this is the most updated.
The nature
information.
survey here. Never mind what that handwriting says at the top.
Okay.
so
I
this
see.
isn't a matter of needing another survey. We're ready to vote on this today, correct, Neil?
Right, yes.
Okay,
Okay.
gotcha.
Any other comments from board members? Okay. I think then we can take a vote on this. All in favor of granting the application? Say aye. All opposed, say no.
No.
Okay, so there's a unanimously disapproved. So we hope that you consider maybe a different application possibly for us. Okay, the final application is for 9 Prospect Court. That's Ricky Ramos's application Z-20-63. I'll take a motion to approve as submitted.
So moved.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay, Neil. And comments on this? Seems like you have a very unique piece of land here with between Prospect Court and Prospect Drive, and it looks like there's some shielding. Is there a desire for any conditions on this one?
I would say yes. I'd like to see him put some evergreens on the Prospect. I think it's Prospect Court, which runs behind him.
Drive.
Prospect
Drive.
Drive is behind him. He's on Prospect Court.
Yeah, so Prospect Drive. So maybe 8 evergreens, no less than 6 foot in height, spaced across the back of the pool area. That would give you year-round screening from the road above.
Okay, I'll take a motion to amend the current motion to add in that as a condition.
So moved.
Okay, and Larry, you can vote on this. So did you want to second that motion?
Second.
Okay, and let's vote to approve the condition added on. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay. Now, can we move to approve with that condition, folks?
Yes.
Okay,
So
so
moved.
I don't think I need another motion. I think we can vote on it because we've amended the motion. So all in favor of the application with that condition, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, so that unanimously passes with the condition. And again, this is the hardship is certainly the shape of the property with the bordering of the different streets on it. All right. We have no continued public hearings, no tabled items, no new business. Unless anybody has any comments or issues or questions, I can take a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Louise.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody, for your cooperation. I know there's some disappointed people, but that happens in these cases.
Okay, good night all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Thank
Nice.
you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Okay, we can. I got call. Okay, Holly. Kelly wants me to call her.